Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Plays, and we're looking at the IL-40P. Now this is going to be the Tier 10 Russian ground attacker. We already had the IL-40. With the IL-40P, you're going to note that the engine intakes go all the way to the front of the aircraft, and when you saw the thing flying in the initial image, there are 4 guns instead of 6. But the overall damage output is actually slightly higher due to an increased amount of damage as well as rate of fire. The air-to-ground ordnance is identical to that of the IL-40, but you'll note almost instantaneously that while the IL-40 saw a decent speed increase, this aircraft also has some really good speed and some pretty good maneuverability as well as 2,500 hit points. This thing is an absolute beast when it comes to the amount of hit points it has available, and here you can see that these 23s are doing some serious work against these light ground targets, which allows me to be able to just rip apart some of these lighter arm structures. And now we're going to drop the big nuke here and move on to the next site. I like dropping a rocket on this because I really don't like to see that. Oh, there we go. That should have flipped the zone, I would have thought. Let's see what we can do here. There we go, picked up the zone. We took a lot of unnecessary damage here, but let's go ahead and start heading towards the mining plant. We still have about half of our hit points left, so let's go ahead and see if we can still do what we need to do here. I would like to see a little bit of help against these aircraft. Maybe I can convince a heavy or something. Oh, no, that's a Hunter. Hunter may have the edge on that airframe to be able to give us a bit of a hand. Since this aircraft sports just a minor increase in maneuverability, I do find that it's a lot easier to be able to get the shots off on another ground attacker, which, as we've mentioned before, once you get to Tier 9, we start to see these roles kind of overlap with some of the other... Ooh, actually, you know what? This is the smarter move. There we go, picked up the zone, sweet. Going after the center would have seemed like a lot more fun, but it wasn't necessary. Well, okay, let's see here. Let's burn towards their center. I'm going to hit the V button, get that reload started on the rockets, even though it would have been kind of nice to have 2 available. I'm going to let myself build up my boost, I'm going to slow it down, and we're going to ease our way into the garrison. We can see here that there are a bunch of multi-rolls, 3 of them actually departing the area. So this will give us an opportunity to kind of get in here and do what we need to do in this zone, as well as having another ground attacker behind us, hopefully able to soak up some of the damage. That is going to be a German ground attacker, and it does sport a little bit more speed, which means he'll be able to go in there and hopefully take a bit more of the hits, so that way we don't have to, right? Ooh, we got a bunch of tents here. That is perfect for us. We know tents are going to be super easy for us to be able to knock out with these guns. There we go, we took out that gun. Just taking out a gun is going to limit the amount of damage we're going to have to endure. With the light sights, I don't want to use the ordnance if I don't have to. I like to save the ordnance for anything that has a square icon on it. So let's go ahead and drop you. Fire and forget bombs. Like we said, let's take out some of these guns. We do have some air defense aircraft giving us a hard time right now. There's another tent facility knocked out. Ooh, we missed this one right here. Managed to pick up the zone. Sweet. Let's go ahead and burn fast and low. Bombs will be back in 65 seconds. They typically take about... Ooh, that's a player, isn't it? Maybe he won't see me. That's the player. There isn't anybody else. We stay low, maybe he won't see us. I'm hoping, at least. Okay. Low and fast, low and fast. My bomber's here. I'm willing to bet my bombers are about to pick up this zone anyways. Sweet. No, it looks like the bombers weren't able to take the zone. We can come in here pretty fast though and hopefully do some decent damage to these. Oh no! That is not my T button. Defense aircraft. Hopefully that's enough. Nope. Maybe. It's hard to see. We got a bunch of things shooting us up right now. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to endure this much longer. And we just got taken out by AA guns apparently. There wasn't much left. Hopefully we can come back in a second, and I actually want them to take our command center because then I can grab it real quick. Our bombs just came back, and I think we have a few rockets left as well. Alright. Yep, we got 2 rockets left. They're going to take this zone, so we're just going to sit here and wait. And we're going to flip it back. Yeah, there's the bombers inbound. We're essentially going to lay in wait like a hunter. Like a hunter. I do like the visual effect. You can see the rockets that we fired 3 from each set here, so they actually leave the tube open, so they've visually represented. You can even see the little spinner on there is actually going to be the fuse. Wow, these guys haven't taken this zone. I'm actually quite surprised by that. Well, maybe we can help defend a little bit. Let's see how this goes. Nope, not even close. Well, that was easy, and we almost got a grade 1 already. The speed allows you to be able to get to the zones that you need to get to in order to offload this ordnance. That's really where the plays come in. It looks a bit sleeker from the belly, it looks really clean, but when you look at it from the front, it looks just a little bit hokey with these 2 tubes where the air is actually getting directed around the airframe. It looks to me almost like a semi-inflatable raft, if you're familiar with those. One of those boats that essentially has like a rubber tube around the outside, but has like a regular boat hull inside. It's called a semi-rigid, I believe. But and we're just about out of time. We don't even have time to go after this guy. Yeah, maybe I got a few more points off of that. Sweet. Throw a couple of GGs up there. Let's get back to the hangar and compare, because I know I talked about the gun having a little bit more damage, but it's definitely going to make more sense when I kind of show the math just a little bit, because the damage per gun isn't that much more significant, but when you take a look at the overall damage numbers, it does pretty well. Alright, how did we do in this last game? Give me a little bit more details here. Much like the bombers, if you're doing your job really well, you're not going to post the best scores in the world, but you're going to be able to win the game pretty effectively. Managed to take 4 sectors pretty quickly, and it took until the third, man, was that even? No, it was the 4th sector. It took until the 4th sector for us to actually get knocked out, which was the enemy command center. We essentially made a round robin all the way around the entire game. 350 capture points. 9,000. Free ammo was close behind us, but free ammo, you'll see here, only captured a single sector. Not that that's really his primary role, but I've noted that when somebody is posting up good scores, but they're having trouble actually getting wins, typically it's related to capturing sectors. For those of you that are familiar with sports, you'll know that always be scoring is a very viable way to be able to keep your team winning against the enemy, because it's not always possible to stop their advance, but if your advance is more rapid than theirs, you're essentially going to be able to win by having a very strong offense. Same thing goes for blitzkrieg warfare, right? It's the ability to keep taking from the enemy faster than they can take from you, because defense is always going to be harder than attack. So, yep. It's a strong platform. I do really enjoy it. And like I said, there's 4 guns here in the front. These little metal plates look like they drop down in front. I'm not quite sure what the logic is here. Is that if that's some type of ground safety mechanism, the guns can't possibly fire. There's little metal plates in front. I'm sure someone will post in the comments what that actually is. But those guns are actually sitting like on a little plate that kind of extrudes out from underneath the platform, and it almost looks like the guns are pointed down slightly, but it's not that they're pointed down as much as I believe the belly is actually lifted up just a little bit in order to allow those guns to be able to kind of poke out. Alright, the damage per gun is 270 for a total damage output of 1146, comparing that to the IL-40. Again, 1146, but the damage per gun is going to be significantly less. So you're essentially getting more oomph, and a lot of that is going to be because of the rate of fire, which makes it a little bit easier to get those on target. I'm not going to say that one is necessarily better than the other when it comes to that, but let's go ahead and take a look at the raw statistics of the two airframes and draw a little bit more of a comparison here. We can see that the bombs and rocket reload is identical at 90 seconds each. We can see, however, that the IL-40 has more damage output with the bombs, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the IL-40 is using the fragmentation consumable. Is that really what's doing it? It actually has more to do with Marina being in this seat here because her supernova does more ground damage. So there's the bombs and rockets, slightly more damage for Marina. Slightly, not a lot, but enough. The gun armament, the reason the gun armament is higher on the IL-40P is that you're actually going to get a little bit more damage coming out of the tail gunner on the IL-40P opposed to the IL-40. And then when it comes to the survivability, you'll see that there's a significant improvement in the amount of hit points available to the IL-40P. The airspeed as well. We're seeing a higher base cruise speed as well as a higher boost speed and a max dive speed increase on the IL-40P, just continuing to make it more competitive as it continues up the tree. And then the altitude performance are both marked at a 7. So you're seeing a marginal improvement, but the IL-40P's speed is going to allow it to be able to get across the battlefield just that much quicker. And at tier 10, carrying those 4 23mm cannons firing at a higher rate is going to allow it to be able to do fairly well against targeting ground targets. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you're going down this line, this is what you have to look forward to. I think it's a neat plane, but I still think it's very similar to the IL-40. There's very little difference in the overall performance. They feel very similar, and they even look very similar, with the exception of there being a slightly different configuration of the engines, and the tail changes very slightly between the two. Plus, the IL-40 gets a really cool dragon paint job, so I don't know why you'd want to go with anything else. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.